Okay, here's where to demonstrate the issues at hand, why things won't go together. As you can see, this hole here, this pilot hole, it clears the bearing on the stock Oldsmobile rear end okay. This is nominally 2 3/4, not to the thousandths, but that's the basic size of it. And this bearing size here is 3 1/8, more or less. It's a couple thousandths less than that, but and so that, of course, is the problem, because when you go to put pass the axle through this hole, the bearing won't go across it. So I'm going to have to bore this hole out, and that'll be done on my mill drill machine. You don't need the full-size mill or anything, but you do need some fairly decent machinery. Something I'd like to point out is with these 4 bolt holes, you don't want to mess with these if you're going to do this, because as it is, you're already messing with the pilot hole here. And so, God forbid, if you get this offset a little bit, you want these to keep your backing plate in the right place in relation to your drum, so that you don't have, you know, things out of concentricity. So be careful about that. And okay, this here is the setup. I found a defect in all of this. This bore here is too small for the bearing that has to pass through it. This one is 2" 740. So we have a ways to go. I mean, there's a big difference. So if you don't have the ability to do this kind of work, you'll want to order this rear end kit with the brakes included, rather than trying to use your old brakes. Because this is, you could auger that out with a flapper wheel or a die grinder or something, but it wouldn't be very pretty when you got done. Okay, here we are. I've been boring for a while. I got, I think, one more cut to go, and then I'll measure, and hopefully this will be it. All right, so let's see what the measurement works out to be. Got a little ways more to go. As you can see, this isn't, the dial hasn't moved. Still doesn't go over it. So I got another 40 thousandths or more to go. So I'll dial this thing out some more, make another cut. This boring head is pretty old and worn out. I got it used, so the quality's not the best, but it's good enough for what I do. I'm not boring, you know, cylinders for engines. This is just a clearance hole, so it's, I could be off by quite a bit and it would be okay. There. And I'll continue with this. Okay, here's the next cut. Hopefully this will be it. All right, now the rest of what I'll do is probably clean this up with a cartridge roll if necessary. That cutting tool is clearly worn. It appears we're very close. Okay, 45 or thereabouts. Remembering that these kind of calipers are not to the, you know, 4th digit. But that's giving us, that says 23. So 25 thousandths of clearance. That's good. That's a clearance hole, of course. Okay, here we are. We got the hole bored out here to the size that it needs to be. So we're going to test it out on this bearing, make sure that it does go. I'm sure it does, but why don't we just look and see, try it out. There it is. It fits it. It's close, but it gives it a little bit of room. So there it is. This is about right. Generally speaking, clearance is a 32nd, and that's about how much big that is compared to that. All right, why don't I get going on putting all this together. Okay, the seal is all in. I drove it in with actually a big socket, and that's seated in there. So the next step is to put the backing plate on and probably hang it by 2 bolts for now, and then I'm going to stab the axle in, and then I'm going to install the retainer, and that'll be on. Okay, the axle is in. Looks good in there. I got that hole clearance. I got it all to fit together. Everything is very nice, and I like it. As you can see, there's the retainer in the back. That's all torqued down properly. It's a little bit of a tight fit. One thing to note, this clearance hole is an extra cost option. And if you look at how close things are, it's a lot nicer having that, though it isn't necessary. You can take the brake shoes off and make room, but that made it much more convenient putting this together. That way I could leave the brake assembly in one piece. Made it easier for me. And so in a moment here, I'm going to test fit the drum on that. All right, here I am with the drum. We'll see how this goes on. I suspect it's going to be great. Look at that. Goes on perfectly. So this is nice. Things are pretty tight. I suspect it's going to have to do with the breaking into the rear end, because the yoke turns a lot harder than, like, say, the yoke on the old rear end. So we'll see how that goes for break-in. Have to follow that procedure. But this is beautiful. Progress has been made.